How's it going, everyone? It's Coach Frankie Martinez. I actually just wanted to show you guys how to set up your J hooks, also known as your J cups here for the squat row. So as you notice, these are actually set up for me to squat right now. I'm going to go ahead and unrack the weight or unrack the bar, get under the bar, and unrack it. If you make a very good observation here of how far I actually traveled to unhook or take off the bar from the hooks, I didn't travel that far, right? If you're squatting way too low, so for example, if the J hooks were over here, I would be squatting way too much and I could actually be losing some of that energy or tightness in my core once I'm unracking. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what it looks like on this side to have the appropriate height. So this is set to my standard. I already put it and measured it out, okay? So notice how effortless this kind of takes, or how far I travel. Not very far, traveling as far as the bar coming up and then coming down, okay? I'm gonna give you guys a couple examples of what not to do so that you guys are able to compare how easy this unrack was compared to the other ones. So I've now set my J hooks up one notch here. As you can see, it's almost directly into my face. So this is what usually happens. I actually see this a lot with people who are just lazy to unrack or reset these standards here, these J hooks, especially with the shorter girls. I usually see them going up on their toes to unrack the weight. So once you actually start to put more weight on the bar, it'll be increasingly more difficult for you to rack it because you have to be in your tippy toes. So here, I have to be on my tippy toes and then walk out and then settle in. So even there, I kind of stumbled just to get it off the rack. And especially after heavier sets or reps, it can be very, very strenuous on your body. And when you're really tired and can't rack the weight properly and you have to get back to your tippy toes, you see you can start to struggle and it makes life a lot harder than it needs to be. It is completely unsafe and can ultimately make you fall. So in contrast, this is having the J hooks a little too low. This is pretty common once you're squatting with someone a little bit shorter, possibly your partner, whoever it is. And this is what happens. You're actually wasting a hell of a lot of energy actually squatting it up and out of the rack and then coming forward and then going down again. So you're actually wasting a lot of energy coming up, almost like an extra squat or a half squat, performing your squat, and then going back and then racking it. So I'm gonna give you an example. So again, this is obviously a little bit lower, so a little bit less than my chest line here. So yes, I can rack it, but if you guys notice how low I have to get under the bar, this is already a wasted movement, okay? So when I try to rack it again, it could be too high. This is a common mistake where you kind of get stuck. And then you have to squat it again to actually get it on the rack. So if you were maxing out, for example, and you had the J hooks a little bit too low, although you can't unrack it, you're actually wasting time or energy unracking it from such a low position, getting up, setting yourself up, performing your max lift, and then dropping it down really low, okay? So it's all about making your life easier and not harder. So a couple of key points. So especially if you're doing powerlifting, which is one of those things where every single inch or every single movement really counts. You want to be able to set your standards where you're moving very minimally up here at the rack when you're unracking, perform the squat, and then re-rack the squat. Of course, there are some competitions that just straight up have a machine that unhooks for you. But if you're training, or if you go to a competition where they have a standard squat rack or a half rack, make sure that you're setting your standard with your J hooks at a correct height, with making it as easy as possible. Do not make yourself struggle more than you have to, waste more energy than you have to. Make it as easy as possible, right? Easier movements are always the best. Do not try and be a superhero by going super low, squatting really heavy, and you have to unrack and you're stumbling again. Or same thing when you're really tall and you're training, okay? If you're unhooking or unracking the weight from a really tall, high J hook, you're gonna have to struggle to get up. And then once you have that heavy weight, whatever it is, going up again is probably not the best thing, the best idea to do, okay? So again, set your standard at a correct height, about back height here, okay? That's a good height. Something that's not gonna make you either go on your tippy toes or make you squat down to unwrap the weight. Again, I'm Coach Frankie Martinez. Feel free to share my content. Follow me on Instagram at Coach Frankie Martinez. If you're on YouTube, at Frankie Martinez Throws.